My name is Jayen Kumar. We're at the NIH in Building 37, which is a lot of the National Cancer Institute personnel. We work on brain cancer mainly. That's my interest, and this is kind of my first exposure to it, and that's why I wanted to come to the NIH. In my future, for residency and going onwards, I like to do neurosurgery, and so this is kind of why I want to get the experience. But specifically, the brain cancer I work on is ones that go to the brain from other places. That's what we call metastases. My parents are from Los Angeles, that's where I grew up. So it's been kind of a journey from there to Maryland. My dad's an aeronautical engineer, mainly on the maintenance side. So he works on Airbuses and things like that and maintenance. My mom's a Montessori teacher, so I really didn't have much science background, but I had my dad with aviation kind of making me ask questions, taking apart my toys, things like that. When I was 3 also, I was diagnosed with ALL, which is acute lymphoblastic leukemia. I spent about a year in and out of the hospital. And then the cure rate then was probably around, I would say about 70%. Then a little bit before that in the 60s, it was a death sentence, it was about 10%. And so I've had a remission from that, and that's always had an impact on me. Just the power of research, how far people have come, and for me, it was mainly just the effects that the disease had on my parents. Seeing my parents kind of fighting the disease and fighting for me, and then having doctors and nurses and using current medical technology from City of Hope in Doherty, which is a huge cancer center. And now here I am standing. And so that's kind of been my drive for research, to understand, and so I can hopefully help people in my future. The Medical Research Scholar Program is a dedicated year at the NIH for medical students, veterinary students, and dental students, all are eligible to apply, to spend a year in like a mentored lab. And so we have one aspect, which is research, where we work with a mentor. The other aspect is we get weekly lectures, and we get experience in journal clubs, which is where we get to discuss articles amongst our peers. And so there's really two parts here. There's like the didactic part and the research part. So a lot of my day-to-day basis, it's if you saw it, you might be bored, is reading. And that's a very important part. Just to build knowledge, to understand things. And when you understand things correctly and you're actually reading the right way, you'll ask questions. So the one I specifically work on is prostate cancer. A lot of people now are getting a lot of treatments for prostate cancer, living longer. But the problem is these cancers then spread to other sites. Prostate cancer usually goes to bone and lung. And now the brain we're seeing a little bit more and more. With brain cancers, the skull is it's a closed organ, and there's really no place for the brain to go when things get in there. So when the brain grows with cancers, people get a lot of devastating headaches, mood changes, and ultimately they die from having the brain pushed down because there's no place for it to go. So for cancers, a lot of things we do, we try to look at it in cells first and see how they interact. We'll be imaging them, and so exactly what you think it is, take pictures, but with MRIs, which is magnetic resonance imaging, which gives us pretty detailed pictures of brains and how the cancers look, and also something called bioluminescence imaging, and that's where the tumors, we can actually, the way they're made, and we can program them, they can glow, and that gives us an idea of where they are in the body. In terms of research, we've had good results and things like that come along, and that's very exciting. But I really think that building knowledge, understanding problems is what research is all about, and so hopefully we can make solutions. The biggest piece of advice, which I would tell myself if I went back, is whatever you do, make sure you're happy, because without that, this wouldn't be as meaningful. And in school, when you're learning things, actually learn them, love them, and go beyond the boring homework assignments or the research assignments. Just find the value in that. Ask questions, and then really value mentorship. So if you have opportunities to reach out to people, take it. I, for instance, would love to get emails from people asking for advice, and I do get emails from a lot of people asking for advice. And I really, it's rewarding to me to be able to pass on what I've learned. So take mentorship, find people to help you. So those are my big pieces.